Imagine this. It's a scorching hot day in July 1518 in the city of Strasbourg, which was then part of the Holy Roman Empire. A woman, known to history as Frau Troffea, steps out of her home and onto the cobblestone street. Without any music, she begins to dance. Not a joyful, celebratory dance, but a frantic, uncontrolled one. She dances for hours, her body twisting and jerking, until she collapses from exhaustion. But she doesn't stop. For nearly a week, Frau Troffea dances. She only stops to sleep for brief moments before her body is once again seized by this strange compulsion. Within that first week, a startling thing happens. More than 30 other people join her, their bodies moving in the same bizarre, unstoppable rhythm. This was just the beginning of one of history's most baffling and terrifying events, the dancing plague of 1518. By August, the number of dancers had swelled to a staggering 400 people. The city was in a panic. What was causing this? Local physicians were called in, but they were just as perplexed as everyone else. After ruling out supernatural and astrological causes, they landed on a peculiar diagnosis: hot blood. They believed the only cure was for the afflicted to simply dance the fever out of their systems. Following this medical advice, the city authorities made a decision that, in hindsight, seems almost unbelievable. They cleared out guild halls, set up a large wooden stage in the open-air grain market, and even hired professional musicians to provide a beat for the dancers. They thought that by encouraging the dancing, they could cure it. But this cure had the opposite effect. The constant music and the sight of hundreds of people dancing uncontrollably only seemed to fuel the hysteria. The situation escalated into a full-blown crisis. People were dancing day and night, their feet bloodied and their bodies racked with pain. The scene must have been horrifying, a silent, grim party where the guests were prisoners of their own limbs. The chronicles from the time paint a grim picture. Many dancers suffered from heart attacks, strokes, and sheer exhaustion. It's reported that at the peak of the plague, as many as 15 people were dying each day. Can you imagine the terror of watching your friends and neighbors literally dance themselves to death and having no idea why or how to stop it? So what on earth was going on? For centuries, historians and scientists have debated the cause of the dancing plague. Let's explore some of the leading theories. One popular theory points to ergot poisoning. Ergot is a mold that grows on damp rye, which was a staple grain for bread at the time. This mold contains a chemical that is a precursor to LSD. Ingesting it can cause severe muscle spasms, convulsions, and vivid hallucinations. This sounds plausible, right? The symptoms seem to match. However, there are a few problems with the ergotism theory. First, while ergot can cause spasms, it typically doesn't produce the kind of coordinated, long-lasting dancing described in the historical accounts. It also often restricts blood flow to the extremities, which would make dancing for days on end nearly impossible. Furthermore, there were no other common symptoms of ergot poisoning reported, like nausea or gangrene. So, while it's a compelling idea, it doesn't fully explain the events in Strasbourg. Another theory suggests it was a case of mass psychogenic illness, also known as mass hysteria. This is a phenomenon where a group of people experiences similar physical or psychological symptoms without any identifiable physical cause. The trigger is often extreme stress, and the people of Strasbourg in 1518 were under immense stress. The region had been ravaged by famine, disease, and poverty. People were desperate and fearful. In this climate of intense anxiety, the sight of Frau Troffea's strange dance could have acted as a powerful psychological trigger. Seeing others join in might have created a domino effect, with suggestible individuals unconsciously mimicking the behavior. It was a kind of social contagion, spreading not through a virus, but through fear and belief. This theory is supported by the fact that the authorities' response, building a stage and hiring musicians, seemed to make things worse. By validating the behavior, they essentially gave it legitimacy, encouraging more people to succumb to the plague. It was only when they changed their approach that things started to improve. Realizing their mistake, the city officials finally banned all public dancing. They gathered the remaining dancers and took them to a shrine dedicated to Saint Vitus, a saint believed to have the power to cure nervous disorders. The dancers were made to pray and perform religious rituals. Whether it was the change of scenery, the power of faith, or simply the end of the public spectacle, the dancing finally began to subside. Within a few weeks, the last of the afflicted had stopped. The dancing plague of 1518 wasn't a unique event. There are other, smaller recorded instances of dancing mania throughout medieval Europe. But the Strasbourg case remains the most dramatic and well-documented. So, was it a fungus-induced trip, a collective mental breakdown fueled by stress, or something else entirely? The truth is, we may never know for sure. The dancing plague remains shrouded in mystery, a bizarre and chilling footnote in human history. It is a powerful reminder of how little we sometimes understand about the human mind and the strange ways it can react under pressure. It shows how social and psychological forces can manifest in truly physical and sometimes deadly ways. What do you think caused this strange historical event? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this journey into the unexplained, don't forget to like and subscribe for more dives into historical mysteries. See you next time.